take a look at Panasonic Answer by Voice Command. This is a feature that was introduced on the 2019 KXTG-F7 series, and most later models, like the 2021 KXTG-D8 series. This feature allows you to answer calls with your, voice by saying, answer, 1 second pause, call, or really any phrase as long as it's something, 1 second pause, something. So you could say something like, answer, phone, or goose, skunk, or jazzy, cheese, or anything you want, really. To turn the feature on, you can go to the Settings menu, then Answer by Voice Command, or simply press and hold the Star key. Then, you can turn the feature on. You can also do this on the base, and this way it's actually easier to show that when we turn it on, let's take a look at this KXTG-FA72 handset as we now turn it on here on the base. Talking call ID right now is off, but once I turn it on, Talking call ID has turned on. The base, I don't think, sends a command to the handsets to do this. The handset displays an icon on the top indicating Answer by Voice is on. So if we turn it off, you'll see that the icon's going to go away. That speech bubble with a phone on it goes away. That icon appearing on a handset with Talking Call ID turned off tells the handset to turn Talking Call ID on. So you can see on this 72 it's on this 97, it also turned on. Of course, on the base it also turned on, but the setting's stored in the base, so it just turns on because the setting changes. The ringtone must not be set to a melody. Otherwise, a message is displayed, and it'll just fall back to using the default tones. For the landline, it's tone 1. For cell 1, it's tone 2. For cell 2, it's tone 4. There are no two-liners yet with this feature, but if there are, it will most likely be that line 1 uses tone 1, line 2 uses tone 2, and all the cell lines would just use tone 4, or they can add more tones. That's how the 9.5 series does it. Line 1 is tone 1, line 2 is tone 2, all the cell lines are tone 4. So now I'm going to set both of these handsets to a melody. First we have to turn this off, otherwise melodies don't show. So if we go to the ringer tone setting, you'll see that we get tone 1 through 5, but no melodies. The intercom tones aren't affected, we still get melodies there. But now if we turn this off, the melodies reappear. So now I'm going to set both of these handsets to melody 1. Now I'm going to turn the feature on. If we do this on the bass, no message is displayed because the bass only has one ringtone. You can see the handset now sets it to tone 1. However, it does not actually change the tone. The manual makes you believe it does because it says it'll use the preset tones, but it does not actually change the tone. So if we go to the ringer volume, you'll hear that it still uses melody 1 because that's what I selected. If I go here and save it, then it changes. On the 2019 KXTG-F7 series, the message displayed if set to a melody is, please select ringer tone from tone 1 through 5. 2 long beeps sound and the message is displayed. You are not prompted to choose a different tone. you have to change it manually. On 2020 and later handsets, the message displayed is, ringer will be set to tone from melody. But again, the ringer is not actually set back to a tone. I have to actually set this back to a melody. But otherwise, it's the same. Then, you'll be asked if you want to play the voice guidance, which tells you how to use the feature. On 2019 handsets, the phrase is in single quotes. So let's take a look at it first on this handset. You can see here. On 2020 and later handsets, it appears without quotes. Let's set it back to the tone so it'll stop nagging me. Now on the bass, it uses double quotes.
When answer by voice command feature is set to on while receiving a phone call, speak answer, call. In between each ring loudly and clearly with a 1-second pause between answer and call. Best results can be achieved if you're closer to the phone. Remember to press star on phone within 3 minutes to continue your conversation. For more information, refer to the operating instructions.
Then you'll be asked if you want to play it again. While it's playing the voice guidance, and while play again is displayed, the bass is accessing the answering system, as I like to say. So if you try to turn it on and off, the button flashes and it says in use. And you cannot use the phone. So if you're on the phone, you cannot play the voice guidance. The voice guidance here, basically, in terms of accessing the answering system, works like the answering system menu on this phone. Now we're going to change my wiring so that I just have this phone plugged in so we can easily demonstrate this feature. The reason Talking Caller ID turns on automatically when turning this feature on is, I believe, so that you can hear who's calling so you don't have to be right next to the phone or interact with it in any way. You can just say answer call, or really any two-part phrase to answer the call on speakerphone. So now let's take a look at actually how this feature works. I turned off the answering system so that it can't interfere with this demonstration. So now I'm going to call from my other extension.
Call from cockpit line.
Answer call. So a Talking Caller ID and ring skipped a ring cycle, and that is so that you have a pause to say the phrase to answer the call. And that is why you must not have a melody selected, and also why tones 3, 4, and 5 on Answer by Voice Command models are different to tones 3, 4, and 5 on other models. So like even on the 2024 KXTGU 4 series, which does not have Answer by Voice Command, tone 3, 4, and 5 are the traditional ones that we hear on many 2007 and later models. Once a call is answered on a handset by voice, the speaker volume is changed to level 6, even if it's set to level 7. I have no idea why it does this. It makes sense to change to level 6 if it's set to a lower level, because that way you can hear the phone, you don't have to interact with it. When I hung up, the handset hung up automatically. That's because when a loop current disconnect or a constant tone is detected, just like how it hangs up answering systems, it hangs up a phone call answered with this feature. The base is in charge of that, but the handset is in charge of the timer, or rather, actually no, the handset is not in charge of the timer. The timer is in the base, I believe. Yeah, it is in the base. I'm remembering this correctly now. It is in the base. When you press any button on the handset, the answer by voice command, timer, and disconnection detection turns off, and you can continue the call normally. The timer is that the call ends after 3 minutes of inactivity. So it begins warning you after 2 minutes, and then after a third minute, it hangs up. Also note that when the phone was ringing, the base did not ring, although the ringer was on. This is by design, because if you have the handset on the base, the ringing base could cause the handset to perform voice detection, a false detection, and answer the call. However, if you have other handsets close by, it could happen anyways. So only the handset performs voice detection and rings if the handset's on the base. So now we're going to do this again using the line testing number, which uses the rate of ring cadence. We can really take a look at this. So now the call is going to come in. We're going to mute these other handset ringers. Notice that the ringer is turning on and off as I lift up and put back the handset. And in doing this, it detected speech, it detected sound and answered the call. So this is not immune to false detection. This is not trained on any particular phrase. It's just a sound detection algorithm, basically. That's all this really is. Just like with Baby Monitor, which I showed a few videos ago, you can change the sensitivity level by going to the Answer by Voice command menu. And it's 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. The higher the sensitivity, the easier sound detection will actually trigger the feature. Now I'm going to make a call, put my other extension on hold, and then come back at 1 minute 55 seconds, right before the handset's going to start warning me that the call is going to disconnect.
From cockpit line.
Answer, call. This time the base answered the call. Now we're going to come back in 2 minutes, and then we'll see the warning display. And then we'll also show it on the handset. Once again, if you press any button, the timer is canceled. So I'm not going to press any button until the warning displays. That did not work. It detected silence and it caused it to hang up because of that. So instead, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to... Okay, let's just do this again here with the handset off the base so that I can hopefully get the base to answer the call, because that's what it was on before. Let's try again here. So what I'm doing is I'm just having it transfer to the echo test, so it will not be able to hang up because of that.
The purpose of this test is to give you an audible sense.
The bass I just set to a higher volume because of playing the voice guidance. It does not do this on the bass. That is also very strange.
You may end the test by hanging up or by pressing the pound key.
And now I can safely put the handset on the bass, and it's echoing back what I say, and obviously I'm doing this so that it doesn't detect silence and hang up. A warning is about to come up asking me to press star to continue the call. And oddly, it uses the high-pitched tone typical of the handsets or the Japanese market basses, but not the base is here usually. You don't have to press star, but you can press any key. If you press star, it does not dial anything. But if you press any other key, it does whatever that key would do. And then after 3 minutes, it would just hang up in the same way it did when it detected the loop current disconnect. Same on the handset, but let's show that anyways. So now we're on the handset. Pressing a button while on the base will not say please lift up and try again. However, lifting up off charge does count as an interaction. So now we have to stay on for a minute. So once again, I'm going to pause the video and then come back once it's getting ready to hang up. Although before I do that, I should mention that for the base, you have to say the voice command when the base is not ringing or announcing call information. I don't understand why it's programmed that way, because on the handsets, you don't have to do it that way. The warning is about to be displayed, and once again, it works the same as on the base. You can press star, or do anything to interact with the handset, really. If off the base, the keytone sounds when you press star, but if on the base, if on charge, it won't. We can prove that we've interacted with it just by picking it up by disconnecting the phone line, which, if we had not interacted with it, would have hung up the call. See? The call is still active. Ring as cell will not work while answer by voice command is on, and that is once again because you need a pause point to be able to say the voice command to answer the call. It does not hide the setting compared to when an HD link to cell phone like this is in HD voice mode, and by the way, the manual does not document this, it just says the feature is not available on HD voice models, even though it is if you turn that off. So the feature is still available, displayed, but it does not work. And that does not, and therefore does not get changed in any way by answer by voice command. It doesn't even simply turn the feature off. If you turn on answer by voice command while a handset is out of range, talking caller ID will not activate on that handset, even though the handset will see the status going from off to on, and when the handset is out of range, it will keep the answer by voice command is on status, if that's the case, until you press any handset button. Just like how when the handset goes out of range, cell remains displayed until you press any button, in which case it switches to intercom on a dialing base or phone book on a non-dialing base. So here you can see it switched to intercom, and now it's going to switch back to cell. Answer by voice is on, and now let's see what talking caller ID says. Yep, it just says it's turned off. Sometimes it will turn on. I don't know how it does, but most cases it will not turn itself on if it was out of range when you turn it on. This feature does work during place on base power backup, surprisingly enough. So now we're going to place the handset onto the base and start power backup. The only thing it will not do is turn talking caller ID on, because talking caller ID is not available during power backup like I mentioned in my power backup video. As you can see here, talking caller ID is not available. Answer by voice command, however, is available. You can change the sensitivity level and turn it on and off. When you turn it on, since the answering system and automated call lock are not available, you are not prompted for the voice guidance. And this is also, oh no, this is how I thought the 810, TGG 810 was going to work, considering it has no answering system. But in fact, that model still does have the answer by voice command voice guidance, telemarketing call block, and automated call block, albeit not with a customizable greeting. It's just pre-recorded greeting and that's it. Now we're going to demonstrate this on power backup mode. I'm going to set my volume to level 1, and then I'm going to make a call using the line testing feature code. Answer, call. So that handset over there answered the call. That's not what we wanted. Let's try again so that we answer it on the handset that I'm actually videoing. So I'm going to unplug the line and I'll stop the call. Just like that. I'm going to try a bit closer this time. And this probably is not going to work because of voicemail tone detection. Yep, it did not work. Let's try it again. Answer call.
Oh.
And as you can hear, the volume is now at level 6.
Hello.
As you can see here, even if I set it to level 7. I do not want the call to transfer to my other phone, so I'm going to hang up. Now back to the fact that the bass ringer and talking caller ID are muted when the handset's placed on the bass. I'm not sure if that's the case on the KXTDD8 series, which is as of now the only non-dialing bass to have answer by voice command. The manual does not say anything about that, but I would not be surprised if it does, because once again, the bass ringing and announcing caller information could cause the handset to perform false detection. And also, speaking of answer by voice command on the bass, on the KXTGF8 series, you cannot change this using the bass, and same goes for automated call block and clearing the call block count. The bass does not support this for some reason. Oh, actually this did slip over to voicemail, so now we have the voicemail thing appearing. Keep in mind that answer by voice command is a system-wide setting that affects all handsets on the base and applies to all lines. So if you have any one handset or a base where you do not want this feature to be used, you have to turn the feature off entirely. For example, if you have a phone in the kitchen and you're doing a lot of cooking when the phone rings, generating a lot of noise, and you don't want answer by voice there, you're going to have to turn it off everywhere, unfortunately. But that makes sense because the system-wide behaviors change when the feature is on, not just for each individual handset. And when you turn it off, you don't get the prompt to play the voice guidance, like you do when you turn it on. On the base, the sensitivity appears with words low, normal, and high, and this is how the manual wards it in the menu list section as well. And it does not wrap around. So it's like set flash time, but there's no error tone. So for set flash time, you can see it does not wrap around and there's an error tone. I have no idea why it does not wrap around for that. But more likely it's just because this is the way the base display could fit the level-based settings. Although, they could have done 1 step, 2 steps. Yeah, they could have done 2, 4, 6, or 3, 6, 9, something like that. Well, I mean, just, they could have fit steps on the base, but they didn't. Handsets that are not compatible with answer by voice command are unaffected. Talking caller ID will not turn on when answer by voice is being turned on, nor will they play a tone if they have a melody selected. This also goes for phone book groups. So when answer by voice is on, and you go to change the phone book ringer tone for a phone book group, so if we go here and change the ringer tone of the home group, you can see the tones are hidden. However, they will still play a melody because that's what was selected. It'll even show that as the selection, even though when you go into it, it'll just default to current ringer. But the incompatible handsets, like, once again, the 2024 KXTD-U4 series, which doesn't have answer by voice command, even though it's a new model, it will continue to play a melody if that's what you have selected. And that is a look at answer by voice command.